Hello, everyone. This is Kkapoormagic with Marriage No Marriage, and I have a wonderful, very gorgeous-looking, mesmerizing CF. Okay, what is CF? Certified Facilitator with Access Consciousness. But she's not just a CF; she's also a life coach and a business coach from North America. And this is Ava Pandit. And for all those who don't know, we'll get to know her because she's going to talk about herself. So, with a background in psychology, she left that and she left corporates and everything also to plunge herself into consciousness and use the tools of access to change her life and maybe a lot of people around her, because when she talks there's a beautiful you just start flowing with her. And I saw her in the certified facilitator training online. Of course, she was there, and she was in Houston, and it was amazing. I couldn't get my eyes off her, or should I say, I just wanted to hear her more when she was asking, and the way like she's very graceful, and the way she has her poise. Well, that's a lot I've said anyway. So I'll get on with the topic. Thank you so much, Eva.
My God, you are so kind and wonderful. Thank you.
You're just so gorgeous. I mean, I know I saw you in 2015 in Choice of Possibility class that Gary Douglas was taking in Delhi. I think that time, yeah, I mean, as we were discussing, that was your probably last COP in India. And it was mesmerizing then as well. At that time, I was 2 years down in Access. So I was still in awe of a lot of people and facilitators who were carrying themselves with, utmost grace, because it's so beautiful to see these bodies moving around and asking questions and empowering themselves and the people around. So I chose you for this topic because I know that you shifted base, and that too, it's not like a small decision, like it's from one country to another.
Yeah, and I like to say, like, I'm on the opposite side of the globe now. Like, literally, we're 12 hours away from my parents. I would have never imagined I'd choose this.
And what got you into imagining or even choosing this?
You can blame Gary Douglas. The man.
Yes, the impossible possible, that's the thing that is with him. But so what are the challenges that one faces when they move from one city to another city or country? Well, forget cities. City is still easy, because if had you moved from Delhi to Mumbai or something, it's still 2 hours by flight and 8 hours by road. You're there in the same time zone. So tell
me, that's a big one.
What changes with the time zone?
Oh my God, like everything. I'm right now, it's like 8:30 a.m. here. So almost all of the times when it's evening, when it's morning here, it's 9 there. When it's 9 there, there's a very little common window. But that's fun. That's fun. I personally have come to see that literally distance is so irrelevant. And it's actually brought me so much more closer to my parents, and them so much more closer to me. So
do you think distance makes the heart grow fonder? Is that really?
Well, there's another one that says something the opposite, right? That it makes you fall apart or something like that. So
no, familiarity breeds contempt. So when you're too familiar, you just don't want to be with each other. So it works both ways. Whatever works for you, I think. So how do you manage? Like, what are the actual challenges that you face when you work?
So the biggest challenge that I wasn't even expecting is going to be a thing that I faced when I moved to the America was that
no, was it your fantasy to go there? Like a lot of people in India to go abroad.
I know.
I also do tarot, so I'll have a lot of people asking me, will I get a boy from abroad? I want to go abroad. I want to settle there. So that was not your thing,
Never.
Right?
I'm the only child of my parents. So I grew up really believing that I'm always going to be there. That I was even close to the idea of that if I were to get married, I'm not moving out of Delhi. I want to, in fact, stay in the neighborhood, maybe in the house next door if possible, and take care of my parents forever and ever and ever. Like, that was my point of view. Moving countries, I used to be one of those who would judge people who moved out. Like I have so many friends who would come to US for projects, and I just keep on taunting them that, oh, now you become like this NRI. And like when they come back and they be like, oh, I have a bad stomach because I ate golgappas, and I'd be like, come on, give me a break. And I've literally become that person now.
Can you come to India now? I need you do, of course.
Yes, I do. The first thing that goes on when I like the first time when I came back was after a year of living here. And like there's such a difference in air and water and quality of everything that like your body adjusts to it. And when you come back, I personally believe that people in India, all of us, even when I lived there, all of us have such good immunity system because we're
Yeah.
exposed to so much and there's no point of view around it. And everyone's like, that's okay.
That's natural. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and my body had kind of changed. I hadn't expected it. And the first thing I did after I woke up from my jet lag, the first morning after coming back after a year, was to go have golgappas. I'm like, I want Raju Bhaiya's golgappa right now. And then I had diarrhea.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Is it because you stopped eating spices because people don't have too much of spicy food there, and that is why?
Not exactly sure what the reason is. I would suspect it's the water, like
It
that
is.
because
Yes, yes,
like
yes.
human body is 70% water, so you get used to that. I mean,
That gets
that's
me to
common.
another question. When we judge others, we end up, somewhere getting. When you judge something, you end up having it in your life. I don't like smokers, and then guess what? You have a husband who starts smoke. Who's a smoker. What you don't like is what you get. Is that what you mean?
I would say it's kind of like what Gary says, that you can only judge that which you have in you
Okay.
and that which you've been or done now or in another lifetime.
Yes.
So, well, there's that. And yeah, judgment never works. I've been a judgmental bitch most of my life. And it's like literally an uncovering every day that, oh my God.
And how you
Hmm.
recognize that? How many people have the courage to admit that they are judgmental? So that gets me to my next question. Okay, so was it a challenge before you got married to shift there, or was it after you moved your base that you faced the problem? Or I shouldn't call it a problem, but yeah, a
Yeah.
challenge.
I was
Yeah.
going to say it was not really much of a problem except for what I'd create for myself. But the biggest unexpected challenge that I did have to face was I thought I speak English in India. I grew up like learning English. In our school, we were only allowed to talk in English. I thought I spoke English. And then I moved to America and people couldn't understand what I'm saying. Like
Really?
they literally had to just because it's so different. Like now that I've lived here for like what 6 7 years, I can just see that it's it's different. Like how the colloquialism of English is different, the way they speak
Yeah.
is. I've come to adapt a lot of it, and a lot of times I judge myself. Now I've become that person who has like an accent because they've lived 5 years in the United States, and I'm like, fuck it, it makes my life easy. But that has been like I remember feeling like am I dumb? Like, why can't I used to hesitate going to order a coffee at Starbucks.
Oh,
And because there was not a single sentence that somebody would ask me that, sorry,
excuse me.
what?
Right. Yeah.
Excuse
Oh,
me? What's that? And I had to repeat myself several times over to even make myself understood. And that kind of like hit me hard. I let it hit me hard. Let's just say
right.
that. Let's admit it. Like nothing hits you hard. I let it hit me so hard that when I came here for one good year, I hibernated.
Oh my.
I didn't even step out of my house alone. Like my poor husband, and he had like a wonderful manager who would be like encouraging him. Your wife has just come. It's gonna take some time. Go home early. So she would always encourage him to come back by like 4 o'clock, and we live very close to his office. So then he would come, and so even if we had to go to a restaurant that next to his office, he would come home and pick me up, and then we'd go to that restaurant. I would be like, no, I am not going out.
How patient,
So
say, wow. Right. So,
yeah,
language and not typically language, but the kind of accent that they use was a challenge. So how did you manage your
accent.
classes with such a challenge? Or you did
I
homework?
didn't. I didn't. For one full year, I did. I wouldn't say nothing actually, but I did almost very little work here because I was just, and I think the biggest misery was not that people are not understanding. It could, like, for me right now, it's humorous to look back at the kind of events that would occur. But the biggest challenge is when you don't want to know what's going on. So I
Right.
was keeping that a secret even for myself, that how much I'm feeling like I'm wrong, or I'm feeling like I'm a piece of crap, maybe, or I have nothing of value to offer because I don't understand language. I don't understand their jokes. I don't, like, if I am saying something that I find is humorous, people look at me like,
Humorous, yeah.
yeah, they wouldn't get it because, like, it's such a different context and the culture is different and the language, even though it's the same, is different. And
And
so
then all those Indian festivals which are there but not there, like what was that? How did that feel like?
I
You kind of got used to
honestly,
it?
I
Or
have never been very religious in India. That's been my parents' challenge with me growing up all the while. Like, they'd have to. I enjoyed, like, celebrating the festivities, but
not
not in
like
a
a
very,
ritualistic thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's
no.
yeah.
Somehow, like, I was born with that crack in my brain that nope, it doesn't make sense.
And then your husband has his family there. Like you have a family or an extended family and all to
In
interact
Seattle, in US, no, there was nobody. Now I have, like, friends, even from the Indian community, like some crazy people I eventually did find. And a lot of, like, people who are not Indian from different nationalities, including Americans and stuff. But um,
with. So how did you
good
get out
time.
of that box after that 1 year? Like what happened? Talk something about that.
I think I've come to realize this about myself, that I have to make myself miserable enough to choose different.
Oh,
So the misery was enough.
oh yes, and how much misery do we all carry? Forget marriage or no marriage, but in life, we all do that, right? Till you hit the rock bottom, you're not going to choose something else.
Yeah.
And so you really hit the rock bottom with that, is it?
I did. There was a time, like, I'm like, no.
You're
That's
not,
it.
not
I'm like,
for
no.
this misery. I have to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, so did it affect your finances? And were you cribbing and crying? But you said that you were in a relationship and the same person, and then you said no, I'm not going out, and then talk something about that.
Well, we have a really fun relationship story. So my husband Ajit and I, we first met when I just passed out of school. So I was first in my college, and it was his first job in Delhi, in Noida actually. And the social media was very new, and that was the days of Orkut. So there was no
Orkut,
Facebook.
yes, Orkut. Everybody knows.
Right. Exactly. And there would be, like, these neighborhood pages or communities, something like that, they would call it. And
Yeah.
we were in this common community where we started chatting and da da da, met and blah blah blah, started dating. And at one point, this was very close to when Access came into my life in 2011.
Yeah.
That everybody was like, "This is great. He's wonderful," which he was, and that you're crazy, which I am. And this is like, he can ground you. I'm like, whatever. But everybody was like, from his house, his family liked me, my family liked him, and so the natural thing was get married. And as soon as we were like, it was heavy, something about it, it was really, I didn't even know that light and heavy as a tool yet, but I kept going, like, it was miserable, let's just say. I have to make it miserable enough. And then our families met, they really liked, his family really liked me, and it just started going really, really smooth. And I'm like, fuck
No.
it, no.
Yeah, that's where comfortable distance comes in. Like this is too good to be true.
And no, it was not too good to be true. It was more like there were a lot of things that were not working between me and him,
Okay.
which didn't match the society's, like, everybody would be like, you can ignore that, that doesn't matter. And I'd be like, no. Like, my I remember having these conversations with my family. They'd be like, beta, jab shadi hoti hai, you have to
But not
compromise
like
and
that.
all of that. Yeah. And I was like, listen, I am ready to adjust, but to compromise,
Compromise.
no. I don't
No.
even know what that means, but no. And I'm like, I'll be miserable. Like, I love this guy. He's amazing. But there are these things that don't work. And so when everybody wanted us to get married, and he's always been like really kind, and he got me somehow, always. And so we broke up, and that was, I think, my first very conscious days. I remember a choice of really just choosing what's not light, it's just heavy. I hadn't yet found access, but soon after making that choice, like literally within 2 months of it, I did my first bars class. That's where I learned this light and heavy, and that lifted so much of the burden off of me, because I
Wow.
was looking at that I had no reason to break this off. Like there were, but they were petty reasons. And they were so anyway, when I found out what's light is true for you, what's heavy is a lie, I'm like, perfect, that's exactly what it was. And I started choosing what's light more and more. And then,
And
when
then you
Gary
did
gave
more access classes and
exactly
empowered yourself. So
exactly
okay. I mean, because you mentioned, that's what I'm asking. So you went through a breakup, right? And breakups can be really painful, right?
yeah,
And yeah, how did access contribute to you there?
I think it was as is joy and glory as it gets.
Joy Glory. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like just because we broke up, we didn't have to make each other wrong. We just knew it's not working. We continued being friends. We continued meeting. He moved his base to Hyderabad after that.
Okay.
And then we would still meet up. We would, like, if I'm traveling, like say for an access class to Mumbai, and if he's able to come and visit me, or if you're able to meet at any common place, we would make the effort to do that. Like, it was not like, oh my God, we've broken up and now I have to judge and bitch about that guy, or he has to judge and bitch about me to
Him
his
down.
friends.
Yeah.
None of that. So I think that's the space that I remember reading the 5 elements of intimacy, and about honoring trust, vulnerability, allowance, and gratitude. And I wouldn't say we perfectly did it. We never do anything perfect, I guess. But I think like that was the track that those were the elements that really supported the ease of all the transitions
And then you
in
got
life.
back with the same person with a
Yeah.
newfound reality of your
Yeah.
own.
I also dated somebody else in between, which I would have never done because that's wrong.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a wrong person, but exactly the energy I was asking for and I needed. And I so remember when I pursued that relationship, and that was also because I wouldn't have chosen it had it not been for access. Like, it didn't make sense. This person was a little bit narcissistic, but I
Uh,
was so attracted. And it was light, even though it didn't make sense. It was light for me to choose. So that kind of, now that I look at it, gives me a perspective. And a lot of times what's light, it's light is not right.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
just leads you forward to something greater that you're looking for.
So
And
does that
yeah.
mean that you needed a kick in your butt so that you could choose something and kind of recognize, oh, and where was I heading? Okay, this guy was really nice.
Not exactly a kick in the butt, but it was more like I just had to walk that path. It was a very nice and wonderful relationship. Like, it was, now that I look back, a lot of it was me just projecting what I want to see in this person versus just being with what this person is. And then at one point I realized, for me, hap- I it's something that's, I think, weird, but I am if it's not happy, I can't be there. Like, and so that's what occurred in that relation. It was really happy, and then it stopped being happy. And then I'm like, listen, we had these chats around, this is what I'm looking at to create my life. And this person was like, this is what I'm looking at creating my life. I'm like, this is not going to work because this is making me miserable. And I'm like, the level of misery, it created the misery enough.
A lot of people don't have the courage to speak up and walk out. I think what is commendable is you have the courage to kind of talk it out and say, hey, this is not working. And, and then choosing something different.
Yeah,
But so access contributed in you choosing something.
absolutely. Yeah. And that's the kind of ease that is available for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not working, don't do it. I mean,
Do
as
it.
that's what I tell people in India. It's so practical that you're saying, oh,
It
it's hurting
is.
here, and if something is being kept, if you've been given a coal charcoal which is very hot, drop it. You don't
Yes.
have to keep it
Yes,
there, but it's going to hurt. Okay, and so just drop it if it's
exactly.
not working. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yes,
And that is why I'd say, like, I would have never chosen to come here, but like with whatever. So this guy, now my husband, he moved to Hyderabad, and I pursued this. Like we just started pursuing things that are light, which we
wow,
wouldn't have had we done the right thing of getting married at the time, and everyone thought it is the right time.
wow,
And and so he ended up moving to, it was his dream. I think he's always wanted to move, because he's grown up really loving computers, and he's an IT person, and this is like IT hub here, and the kind of work that he gets to do here, he really wanted this thing. And so he grabbed on those things, and he came in here, and we've, like I said, always been in touch. Like I dropped him off to the airport, like crying off when he was heading to the US and stuff. And but we still didn't know. And it was just a phase of life where I had a lot of space in my world, because choosing access after access, and like playing with
has
the
he done
tools and stuff.
access? No, does he know about it? I mean, I'm sure that
He
does know.
indirectly does it, I'd say. He hasn't yet chosen to go for a class, even mine. But he uses the tools. I see him, like, he does say, how does it get any better than this? Or he would ask a question when he's really stuck with something.
And
So
he's an allowance of you doing it. He doesn't, yeah.
no, yeah, he's a wonderful man like that. Yeah, he's always been wonderful.
He's not going to stop you from doing something that you would like to do.
No, no, no,
And
no,
now you don't
never.
stop him from doing what you
No.
like to do.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah. I don't pull him, hey, no, you have to do this. I do act like, try to manipulate sometimes by showing him, hey, this could be possible. Like I remember just very recently we had this conversation. He was looking into something, and I was like, this is one way of looking at it, but I'm not like, it doesn't really work if I were to go and like just dump the information on of you. But
yeah,
I just want to let you know it's available. So whenever you want, if you want, I'm ready, and we can talk about this different possibility. And he hasn't yet chosen to talk to me a lot about it, but every single day I see him ask one question at least that brings him closer to that. So how's it getting better than that?
how does it get any better than that? So it took you almost like 5 years to embrace, and for people to embrace you in a new culture, new country, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I
So
would say, like, yeah.
yeah, that's the kind of time that people require to kind of adjust. Or if it is not, if you're too,
Maybe not. Like I've seen a lot of people who just come and they're like, yay, like let's America, the American dream, let's party and stuff and all of that. And I see a lot of people who come and they spend like years and they're still miserable and they end up going back.
right,
And I was the kind of person, I came in here and I was miserable for a year, maybe two. And then I don't know, you just
yeah.
started, yeah, you just become different, I guess. Allow it to own you, the things around you.
No, I simply asked this because I got married and I went to London.
Ah. Oh, you did.
I
How was
did,
that for
but
you?
I got back. I'm
You
like
got back.
so Indian. I that I could
Yeah.
another India there, and I thought let me come to India and be in India and do what Indians do out here. So yeah, I mean
Ah,
that's why I said adjustment. Yes, I do get, but was that the kind of life that I was looking at? Like no, I don't think I can
yeah.
for my entire life. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. I do get that this is, I mean, it's really not for nothing is for everybody. You see, it's not even about this is not for everybody. Like it's more
Even
about what's going
access
to
is
work
not
for
for
you.
everyone. Because all those people
Exactly.
who are not willing to choose change, they would never come to access, I think.
No. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
That it's
It's
just
not for
about having fun.
everyone.
How much are you willing to choose and change and like Simone says, choose change and take action.
I love that. Yes,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
beautiful. Yeah. That's so
Mm.
wonderful because you're so dynamic, you're so different, and each day when you
Thank
choose
you.
go for you, that makes you who you are and who you would like to be. And that's what
Yeah.
you did, I think, in your marriage.
And I have to admit that, a lot of times I see that people, I get it. Like, even if a lot of times I don't see it, I do acknowledge that people see something. And I also want to acknowledge that, in that sometimes, that Instagram kind of a thing, we think like everything is perfect. I
yeah.
feel wrong every single day, and I refuse to give into it every single day. Like sometimes I cry because I'm feeling that wrong and I'm doing everything wrong. So it's like kind of, I just want to set the thing that it's not.
It's like, I know this, I can be so wrong. This is me. And okay, I do not wish to buy that now. So it's like own space. I think that's how.
Yeah. It's a, like I think I've heard Simone only say that it's a marathon. It's not a race, it's a marathon.
Yeah, it's not like an 800-meter or a 200-meter marathon. So a few words for people, and then we'll wrap it up. It's something that you would like to share or talk about, and just end it with.
I would just say that the 5 elements of intimacy, right? Honor, trust, vulnerability, allowance, and gratitude. Have them with yourself. Allow yourself to just be however you are right now. Like that wanting to be different. There's nothing wrong with wherever you are, however fucked up you feel you are, however you think things are not working. There is no need to change. However, if you're willing to have allowance of it, and if you're willing to just keep asking questions, keep moving forward, and keep following that which is light for you and not what you think might be right thing to do, you will find what you're looking for.
Wow. That's so beautiful. That's as beautiful as you are. Thank you so much for that. And may you create a lot of classes then, and bring people to consciousness and be who you be, because the gorgeous being that you are, and just send trickles and magical trickles to people so that they become as magical as you are.
Oh, thank you.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Bye.
Bye.